Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Lamborghini Aventador SV in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 for the second time, this time at 4 stars. Previously I tested it at 3, but the Unleashed event came out for it and it has its own season now, so I decided to 4-star it without actually spending any tokens, because I got it through events. Anyways, I've put all the import parts, everything on it that I could at this stage, bringing us to a rank of 3430. This video is a compilation of the 4 closest and most intense races I had in this season. They were all 2 laps, nothing was cut out, nothing was sped up, just pure intense goodness. Let me know if you guys would like to see me do more videos this way, because usually I speed up or cut out stuff. I don't know, I usually will probably keep doing that, but occasionally I'll probably upload a video such as this that has basically no editing done to the races at all, because I know some of you guys want to see that. I also did that on my Icona video. Anyways, in this race we're facing another SV, as well as a Dodge Viper GTS, who is the one right ahead of me. He is Pro Team J-Ster, and he was a very good driver of this car. Now, it's going about like 10 miles per hour slower than my car. My car can go 234 miles per hour at this rank, which is pretty good for Class A. This is one of the upper A-class cars. Not one of the kings, but it's extremely good in multiplayer, at least in this season. Considering that it's the top car, you would think so, but yeah. So this Viper, he was doing very well in. The thing about the Viper is that it's one of the most underrated cars in Asphalt 9, I think. This is the GTS, by the way, not the ACR. I did make a video about the GTS and the ACR, so go check those out if you would like to see them. I probably will not be making another video about the GTS this season, simply because I've already made one about the car at 3 stars, and, well, it's still 3 stars, and there's really no point to be making 2 videos of the same car at the same rank. At least, I don't really see a point to it. You guys have probably noticed that when I retest cars in Asphalt 9, they're always at higher ranks and in different seasons. So yeah, I like not doing the same thing twice. So at the entrance to the ship back there, we got ahead of this GTS. However, I knew that he would very likely be able to catch up to me if I made any mistakes, since he was still right behind me, and since I knew that he was a good driver. So I decided to just bide my time and just do all the speed tricks and everything that I knew. If you're in front, you've got to stay cool and not let the people right behind you phase you, because if you do, you will make dumb mistakes. That has happened to me plenty of times, and I'm sure it happened to plenty of other people as well. So just a little warning, sometimes it can be tough to deal with, but if it happens often enough, you can get used to it. We round the final bend and almost landed on our top, which would be a very bad ending to this race, but thankfully I pressed S in time, causing the car to right itself. If you did not know, that is what you can do if your car starts to do a half barrel. So we beat this 4-star GTS, and we beat a 3-star SV as well. Now for a what kind of voice crack was that? Now for a race against RPM Freeze in his 488, and we're also facing a Viper and an SV. At the beginning of this track, in most cars, I usually drift at the beginning, then shockwave up here, and take this route. Now, I happened to go to the left of the windmill there because I was afraid the Viper was going to land on me. Thankfully, it worked out perfectly fine. Taking that left route, I think, is a little bit faster. If you're not comfortable with it, it's not going to lose too much time going the other way. But anyways, here I barely managed to pass Freeze, barely avoid getting knocked down by him, and then we are in the lead. However, he takes the right route, which is shorter, but you have to then drift and lose a bunch of speed, but then he gets ahead of me again. Maybe it's faster, I don't know. I've not gone that route, so if anybody can confirm if that route is indeed faster, please let me know. Little side note, this is definitely one of the shortest 90-second tracks, because you can complete it in under a minute with cars like the Vulcan and pretty much any A-class car. So yeah, that means you can complete 2 laps of a supposedly minute and a half per lap race in under 2 minutes, which I don't know if it should happen. Most of the 90-second races seem to be skewed lower. I guess that's because they timed those in really slow cars, or at least that's the only thing I can think of. Now we round this turn with Freeze right on our tail. The 488 GTB is approximately equal to the GTS in terms of performance, maybe a little better or a little worse, but they go about the same miles per hour, around 224-ish or so, and their driving dynamics are not too much different. Their Freeze takes that shorter route again and narrowly passes me. However, this time I managed to retain the lead. I remember in some of my earlier videos I was always unsure of how exactly I should go through the ship or if I should go around the other way. I found that if I boost off all the ledges and do the brake trick between them, I can get through there with pretty high speed, even if I don't have too much nitro, and even in a car with not so great nitro efficiency. So that's what I've been doing. So we beat Freeze here, although not by much. We also beat Kent in his 4-star SV, as well as a 4-star ACR. These last two races have a bit of a comeback feel to them. Now in this race we're facing, oh gosh, 4 other 4-star SVs. This should be interesting. We've also got a 4-star CN and a 4-star ACR. All cars in this race were 4-star, I believe. That's pretty neat. This is probably the most populated race I played after reaching Legend League, because usually I would have maybe 4 people or so in a race, on average maybe after reaching there, but in this race we had 7, so that was a nice bit of competition. Also, if you come in first with more people in a race, you will go up more than if there were fewer. Of course, if you come in last, you will also go down less, but thankfully in this season, they made you go down less for coming in last. I think the cap is 20. Now, I know they did that before, but it's still less than like 40 or whatever like it used to be. And also, they made, unfortunately, the amount of rating that you could gain less. I don't know, but I've not gotten more than, I think, 23 after coming first in an 8-player race, and I was in a pretty low league at the time. Now, here I always go left, but he went left and I was going slightly faster than him, so unfortunately I land on him. But then, unfortunately, also, I fall into the water, causing me to go back to 3rd position. And for some reason I bounce up in the air upon hitting the ground. Not exactly sure why. All of the races pretty much in Legend League were 2 laps. I think there may have been a few 1-lap ones, but I believe in Legend most are 2 laps, and in my opinion that's a pretty good thing because it allows you to have a better chance of catching up to people in faster cars if you get knocked down at the beginning or something like falling into the water like I did. Any little thing that happens that might put you behind, at least you might have a better chance to catch up if there's 2 laps rather than just 1, especially in cars such as this one that go pretty fast around the tracks. In the Apollo N Versus video that I was in on the Asphalt channel, I went to the right back there. However, I still don't do that in multiplayer because while it is faster for events, in my opinion it is more risky, and from my experience, going to the right generally has a higher chance of messing up than going to the left. So in multiplayer, when it's best to do the least risky thing, I go to the left. So thankfully, even after falling to the river on the first lap, we've managed to come back into 1st position. I find that this car is quite easy and fun to drive. It is not too stiff, yet not too light, and overall, it just seems to be good all around. Maybe not as nimble as something like the Huera or 918, but it's still a very solid and mostly non-glitchy car to drive. So here we come in first, ahead of those 4 other 4-star SVs, and the other 2 cars came in 6th and 7th. In this final race, we are facing 4 other SVs as well as 1 ACR. Now it's time for me to give my general review of this car. It's quite fun to drive, has a pretty good top speed for Class A, has pretty good acceleration, the nitro efficiency is also good, and so is the handling and drifting. Everything about the car is just quite good, even if not the best, it's definitely not the worst either, and better than average in all respects, I would say. So if you need a dependable car that may not be absolutely the best, then this car will do very well for you. It is certainly the best in this season, and possibly the only car that can take you to Legend League. Not entirely sure about that. Some really skilled people could probably get there in the ACR, possibly the CN, but I don't know. I got there in the SV, and I probably would not have gotten there without it. So we've got 1 SV ahead of us and 1 SV very close behind. The other 3 cars are pretty far back, and unless that part with the barrel roll back there is at the very beginning of the race, I usually don't go up it, because so many times you can go way too high accidentally and then just land on the side and you wreck, and that was a bit interesting. We barrel rolled the opposite direction after hitting the edge of the cliff right there. Usually what happens when I hit it is I just kind of stop barrel rolling and I just fall down and don't have much nitro when I land, which is no good. But that worked out pretty well. However, we are now in 3 out of 6 position, because if you can do it right, going up that barrel that I was talking about is faster than going down below, but that is only if you can do it right, and it is more risky. It worked out well for him in this case though. However, I was not going to give up. I played on a lot of Scotland recently after doing the Regira special event. It was on this track, not exactly this track, but a lot of this specific variant were also also in that variant, so I think I got pretty good at it. So we're coming up now pretty close to this guy in second place here. He was having some internet issues, and just about here I was able to pass him. He lands again ahead of me, but one guy who went up the ramp wrecked. That's the very thing I was talking about, which is the reason why I don't usually go up that ramp. Now here, I do shockwave. I thought I was going to get past him, but I couldn't. He also did shockwave up it, so I knew there was only one last thing to do. Tried to get past him with nitro in the barrel roll, and we managed to do that at the last second, and I do think it is faster going to the right at that one bit at the end there. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 and 9 content. And I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye!